Hey everyone, Cody from Mac Telecom Networks. In my last on the site job video, there's been a lot of comments asking me how I know which cable is which and what do I use for labeling. So that is what this video will be about. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button. Make sure to hit the bell icon. If you'd like to hire me for network consulting, visit www.mactelecomnetworks.com. If you'd like to support the channels, we do have memberships available and you could press the join button down below. So first, when we're beginning a project, we usually ask for a floor plan so that we could mark it up. Sometimes the customers don't have floor plans available to us, so we could just sketch one out in a notepad. But for this particular job, we did have a drawing. Usually when you're looking at a drawing, voice or data drops are marked with a triangle. I put them in blue on this floor plan just so we could see it easier. But at the top right corner, you can see that we have one blue triangle and it's starting at D01. And then we move over D02, D03, D04, and we work our way around all the way down the floor plan. We also have two access points. So we have AP1 and then we have AP2. So when I'm setting up my boxes of cables, I will mark on the cable with a Sharpie the cables that I'll be pulling. So D01, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 10, or how many ever cable pulls I'm doing. And once the cable pulls are in place and we're ready to do our terminations, we bundle them into the rack and then we find our D1, D2, D3 and go in order and punch them down on the patch panel. Once they're punched down on the patch panel, I use a wire wrap at the back of the keystone to label the cable. And we also put a label on the front of the cable. At the jack side, so in the faceplate side, we do the same thing. We would put a wire wrap on the cable and then on the front of the faceplate. So now I'm going to put the camera in a top-down view and we'll take a look at the tools that I use for the cabling. I'll show you how I do my wire wraps and how I label my faceplates and my patch panels. So the first cable labeling tool we'll talk about is probably the cheapest tool you could buy, and that is the Sharpie. This Sharpie is a little bit thicker. I typically wouldn't use this one. I'd use a smaller one. But it will still work to mark our cables. So when our cabling is coming out of our box, we would mark the box with the cable number. And then we would also grab the cable and we'd mark it as well. So we'll say this one is D01. We just grab our Sharpie and then mark it D01. And we'd write it a couple times. We'd also move down the cable, maybe about a foot, and we'd mark it again. That way, if some of the markings rub off when we're pulling it, we have it marked in multiple different areas. The next tool we'll talk about is my Brady Labeler, and this could come with a bunch of different label cartridges. As of right now, I just use it for my wire wraps, but I will probably start using it to do my patch panels. I just need to get different label tape. The model number on this Brady Labeler is the BMP21 Plus. The package I got came with a case and also a rechargeable battery, and I'll show you that in a minute. The label tape that I'm using is the Brady black on white self-laminating vinyl. And I'll put everything down below in Amazon links. So to follow the same labeling, we want this to label a wire wrap in D01. So we just power on the labeler and then we would type in D01. Now that D01 has been entered, we could print it. And now on this side, we can see the label has come out and it's printed, but we still need to cut it. On the back, we have these two buttons that we just press in and it will cut the label tape. Now we could take the label tape out and we have a perfect wire wrap label. Now let's grab our wire and then put this on. So I have that same piece of wire that we labeled D01 with the Sharpie, and now we need to unwrap the wire wrap. All we need to do is just pull the label tape off of the back. And you can see on the bottom that it's clear and on the top it's white with our black label. So we need to put the white around the cable. So we'll stick the white piece on. Make sure that it's pressed down. And then we'll just wrap the white clear around it. Now let's take a look at the case for the Brady Labeler. It does come with two different inserts so we could put in extra tape. And for this version that I bought, it comes with the power supply so that we don't need to keep buying AA batteries. It also comes for the spot with our labeler, which just keeps things nice and tidy. I really like this labeler. I think it's about $200 Canadian. Now let's take a look at the labeler that I use for my faceplates as well as my patch panels. The patch panels are going to change to the Brady Labeler once I get some new tape, but this is just the Brother P-Touch H110. The issue with this printer is it wastes a lot of label tape, which I don't like, and it does take AA batteries. So to print with this one, we're going to stick with that D01. We just need to find D, and then 0, and then 1. And we can see it on screen, and then we just hit this print button. We make sure it's okay. And on the end, we could see all the label that came out, which is quite a bit. So I'm going to cut this off. And what we do with this label, we will end up cutting it a little bit shorter and we'll stick it onto a faceplate. Now we have the label made and we could just stick it either on the top of the faceplate or on the side. I'm just going to put it on top. Okay, so now we can see that the top jack would be D01. Now on the faceplate, we have the D01 and we have data jack put in. If this D01 ever got marked off, we would still have it labeled on the back of our cable. And this really helps other technicians. Sometimes you cable up a job and you never go back. So there may be another technician going there and they need to know the number of the label. And if you don't have a label, you have to tone it out, which causes extra time. Now for your patch panels, they typically come marked with 1 to 24 on the bottom of them, but we put on our custom labels. So we'd mark it D01 to 24. This labeler isn't the best to do patch panels with, as we only could do a block of 6 numbers as we run out of label tape. And you need to make sure the spacing is right. For this one, we do D01, 3 spaces, D02, so on and so forth. Now I've printed off the labels for the first 6 jacks. We could see at the top D01 to 6. And this could be labeled anything. You could have AP 1 to 6, CAM 1 to 6. It doesn't matter as long as it's the same on both ends. So that's how I label my cables. There are a ton of different cable labelers out there. There's no real right answer of which one to use, whichever one suits you the best. The main thing is to make sure that we label it at both ends so it makes troubleshooting a lot easier. Let me know in the comments below which labeler you use so I could check it out. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up button. If you're new here, please subscribe and hit the bell icon. Alright, thanks.